Now I will give an overview how are you going to present your oral presentation. That will be next month probably. Now let me go back to the general overview of the qualitative research and the quantitative research. Last year we are done with qualitative research from chapter 1 up to 5. Now we just need to print it out because the school is actually asking for it. Now this semester we are doing quantitative research. Now let me give you an overview. Let me go back to the difference between the qualitative research and the quantitative research. The qualitative research is actually phenomenological, while the quantitative research it is very scientific. That is why in our title there must be a quantification of data. Compared to the qualitative research, well, we can quantify the data in qualitative research. However, it must be thematic. The questionnaire should be at least 10 to 15 items. We call it as a general overview, general attitude, general characteristics of a particular respondent or participant. Well, the quantitative research is not, because we are going to quantify by applying the descriptive statistics in our research. Now, what are the parts of quantitative research? In chapter 1, we have the background and each problem. That's why we have to start with introduction. Now, what are those included in quantitative research in chapter 1? We have the statement of the problem, the statement of the hypothesis, significance of the data, or significance of the study. We also have the definition of terms, and of course we always have the theoretical framework or the conceptual framework. Now, in doing your introduction, of course you have to introduce the research itself. You have to introduce it, and by stating the statement of the problem, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 questions that will be answered later on in chapter 3, 4, and 5. Aside from that, we also have to crack the statement of the hypothesis. Now, what are those hypotheses? Two necessary hypotheses in quantitative research. We have the two questions, which is the alternative hypothesis and the null hypothesis. Now let me go back to the hypothesis in which is required to answer the statement of the problem. Is there a significant relationship between the two variables that we are trying to compute? That's why we have those questionnaires that we have crafted or created. Another one is the null hypothesis and statement, the alternative hypothesis can be answered after the chapter 3 or 4 and 5, whether or not the decision role of the alternative hypothesis and the null hypothesis is significant or not significant. So that is the statement of the problem and the statement of the hypothesis, and we did it in the first chapter of quantitative research. Another one is the significance of the study. Now, how do you understand significance of the study? Is the research significant to what? That is a question. Now, this is significance. That's why we are crafting in chapter 2 the review of the related literature, whether or not how significant our research, which is the quantitative research. As I've told you, it is a numerical data. That is why in our title there must be quantification of data, or we call it the level of English proficiency of grade 11 students of Butuan City colleges. That is only an example. Now, in chapter 1, we have to create definition of terms. Why it is important to make a definition of terms while it is still in the chapter 1. Why? Because in order to understand some, we call it unlocking difficulty vocabulary. There are lots of vocabularies that is not easy to understand. So that's why we have to define its terms for a clearer understanding with our research.